Hi, I'm Jordan. I'm the Nonprofit Success Manager for Colorado Gives Foundation. And my job is really to focus on you guys, coloradogives.org nonprofits, and anybody wants to enhance their skills for digital fundraising. I'm so excited for today. This is session one of a four-part series called Fundraising Essentials. And it's with our partners, Institute for Sustainable Philanthropy, today. And we're going to be talking about in this first session, simple steps for year-round growth. So welcome. A quick housekeeping here. This webinar is being recorded. And after this webinar, we will be sending the recording as well as the slide deck to you in an email that'll come around this Thursday. And while most of these strategies discussed are going to remain relevant over time and as studies continue, some might change or enhance. So just keep that in mind if you're watching this recording after the fact. If you have technical questions about coloradogives.org, always start by emailing support@coloradogives.org. And then for connection with Institute for Sustainable Philanthropy, we have Kate on the line, and she's going to be the one you can email if you have any questions about today's content. All right. So what's the goal of this four-part webinar series? Well, we want to fuel your future. We don't want you to just be thinking in the now, but be thinking about 2027 and 2028. And that starts with a plan and with strategy. We want you to raise more money online. We want you to learn how to retain and grow your donor base, get more donations online year-round, and then also for Colorado Gives Day. And then this is also designed for you to learn and grow alongside your other nonprofit peers and professionals in a learning system called Canvas, which we'll talk about. Last, you have the opportunity, if you'd like to opt in September, to earn your certificate in fundraising copywriting. And that's what a lot of this content is based off of, because that's what Institute for Sustainable Philanthropy does. So what makes this course a little bit different than some of the other webinars that are landing in your inbox? So of course, we are building this webinar on the science of giving. That is the focus of Institute for Sustainable Philanthropy. We also, in addition to this live webinar, are going to be able to facilitate questions and exercises live afterwards in a learning system called Canvas. So not only live facilitation during the webinar, but 7 days of support afterward with exercises to support the learning that you hear today. So we are really excited to give you that additional opportunity. What we're going to be covering today, program introduction, what's happening now. We're going to talk about setting goals that you can actually hit, building a year-round campaign, how you're going to map your donor journey and what that might look like, and then making every channel tell one story. So how do you sync everything up so it sounds similar to each other? We're going to do a little bit of Q&A, and then we'll remind you about the Canvas learning system where you can log in and do an exercise specific to this webinar. All right, so just to reassure you, by the end of today, we want you to be able to set goals, build a year-round campaign. This isn't just about Colorado Gives Day, but it all affects Colorado Gives Day. We want you to map a donor journey that keeps people coming back. We don't just want those one-time donations. And then we want every channel to sound like your nonprofit and draw people in. I also want you to know that you are supported here. So we have the Institute for Sustainable Philanthropy team here with us. And you can log into Canvas after this webinar and ask them questions. Of course, our Colorado Gives support team is here Monday through Friday, so you can reach them through that email address. I offer one-on-one virtual calls, so I'm always here to support you. And then we also have a fresh nonprofit resources page. So please go ahead and make sure to check out and use all of these resources. And they can all be found on the nonprofit resources page. Katie, if you have a sec, will you drop the nonprofit resources page link in? All right, so before we dive in today, I want to remind you, and I won't go into too much detail here, but in last month's webinar, we talked about the four focus areas to really drive revenue. It's donor retention, it's monthly giving, it's major donations, and it's matching gifts. And those are the things that are going to drive your revenue up with the least capacity, least effort by your organizations, although there will be effort. So just a quick reminder here, when you're looking at holistically your fundraising plan, these are the items that are moving the needle. We have a little bit more information on retention. And now let's go into the fundraising essentials workshops. So here's just a view of what we're going to experience over the next couple months. Of course, today we're talking about simple steps for year-round growth. Next month is social media. June is retain and engagement to start getting ready for Colorado Gives Day. And then July is emails. So prepping your emails for your year-round and for Colorado Gives Day. Some exciting stuff. Now I'm going to hand it over. And Jen, if you don't mind, I would love for you to introduce yourself and then tell us a little bit about Canvas and the learning system.
Yes, absolutely. More than happy to do that. Thank you very much for having us again. I want to welcome you into this Fundraising Essentials series. And I also want to give thanks to Jordan and her team at Colorado Gives Foundation. This is the 4th year of our partnership, and we're very happy to be here and to spend time with you. I want to just say a few words about the Institute for Sustainable Philanthropy, who will be supporting you in your Canvas platform. At the Institute, we study, we conduct philanthropic psychology research, and we try to understand how we can grow the human capacity to love through research and educational programs. So here, we're very happy to partner with Colorado Gives Foundation for the 4th year as an effort to try to communicate with local nonprofits like yourself, people who are so kind-hearted that you choose the nonprofit to be the sector that you work in. We appreciate your passion for the causes that you support and appreciate that many of you are making daily sacrifices in your own lives to make your mission a success. So I want to first acknowledge that we're here for you, and we're very happy to support you in the next 4 months. To start with, like Jordan said, we're going to have the 90-minute webinar every month starting from today. But on Thursday, you will receive your first email from us with the title, Need Extra Support, We Are Here For You. So you can look out for this subject line in your inbox. On the right-hand side, when you open the inbox, you will see the logo from both us and the Colorado Gives Foundation. And this email will tell you that you will, on Friday, receive a Canvas registration email. If you have opted in to receive discussion forum discussion, those 2 emails will come to you on Thursday and on Friday. If you didn't see an option to opt into this support, or if you changed your mind, you said no in the registration form, but you actually now want to change it to yes, all that you need to do is you need to go to the chat. I put in the link there, say you can opt into the discussion forum support here. You just need to click on that link and you can change your mind, write your first name, last name, and your email, and then you will receive this email on Thursday. If you go to the next slide, Jordan, also in the same email is telling you that the Canvas instructional email that comes to you on Friday will be from this email address. It's notifications@instructure.com. So you want to make sure that either you include it into your safe list to send, or you check your spam folder on Friday so you can get access to the discussion forums. Once you have received this instruction email and you click onto the discussion forum, if you go to the next slide, Jordan, on Friday, you will see that we'll be waiting here for you for all the questions you have. You can see when the discussion forums will be open, what is the topic. And then if you click on the left that says discussions, next slide, please, Jordan. You can see that if it's your first time there, you can introduce yourself, get to know each other. But then there's 4 topics for each one of the 4 weeks where you could ask any questions you like. And our expert tutor team will address any concerns, any questions you have. You can ask as many questions as you like on these topics for as many times as you want to until when you feel like your question is properly answered. But more than anything else, we hope these 4 sets of 7 days that we provide for you, it's simply a time where we can help you feel a little loved and cared for in this community, because we know fundraising is hard. Always thinking about hitting your target can be hard, day in, day out, week in, week out, and month in and months out. And we know a lot of you are under a lot of strain, try to wear many, many hats to take the best care of your donors and your organization and the people and the animals and the planet that you care for. So all that we wanted to do in those discussion forum is to be there for you. So do go ahead and ask any questions you might have. If nothing else, we'll be there. We'll be listening for all the questions and all the concerns that you might have. And for this week, when you do go there and throughout this 90-minute webinar, we would invite you to think about, given your limited resources, what would you like to focus on growing in 2026 and why? And you can choose one of these 5 based on our discussion today. But then we would invite you to think about, well, if you were going to grow one of these, what might be your top 3 priorities in the next 90-day period? How do you prioritize? If you type your answers to these questions in the discussion forum, our expert tutors will come in and help you think through your logic, and you can ask any questions that you're uncertain about. But really just come in and let us show you some care and keep you company for 4 weeks. By the end of this, for this 4 months, by the end of this 4 months period, yeah, you can go to the next slide, Jordan. If you would like the support to continue, if you want to dive a lot deeper into how you can change your fundraising copywriting, you're welcome to join us in the certificate in fundraising copywriting starting from the 8th of September. It's a 4-week program. Approximately, you will spend 5 hours per week to study, and it is taught by us. It is filled by the new science of philanthropic psychology that helps you understand how to love your donors and how to love your teams and how to love yourself better as you navigate the fundraising territory. The 1,799 per participant fee is a 20% discount that we offer to all Colorado Gives Foundation's participants. So they're specially offered to you. Like I said, in the chat box, I have also put in the link that you can use where you can access the 20% discount. And in those 4 weeks, you can learn how to use the science of loving people to help you think through how you can write your emails, design your website, orchestrate your social media campaign. Because that course starts from September, the final project is due in October. All the exercises and the writing you do in that class, you can directly apply them to your Colorado Gives Day this December. The course itself and all the exercises are designed to help you write for Colorado Gives Day. So those are all the support that is made available for you. And in this email here for you at philanthropy-institute.org, that's the email address that you can write to us with any questions. And yeah, we're like the email said, we're always here for you with any needs that you have for Colorado Gives Day. And that is the introduction of what this 4 months sequence looks like, starting from 90-minute webinar, go through 7-day support, and leading up to the fundraising copywriting class if you're interested. Before we actually go into the 4 learning objectives for today, if you have any questions, please do type them into the chat box. I'm happy, Jordan is happy, and we're happy to answer any questions you have on anything that we talk about.
Looks like we're okay.
Yeah.
Quick shout out to Jesse or Laura with Salida Circus Outreach Foundation. Had to do it. She's in my hometown. Thank you, Jen. This is awesome.
Yeah. So shall we proceed, Jordan?
Yeah, I think we're
Okay. If you have any more questions, please do continue to type into the chat box. We'll come back and address them. So now we'll start with the first learning objective, which is to set digital fundraising goals. You're welcome to go to the next slide, Jordan.
Thank you.
Goal setting.
All right. So just wanted to remind everybody when we're talking about goal setting in general, just how important it is, both internally and externally. So we know from Network for Good data that nonprofits that set specific fundraising goals before the campaign begins, they're 60% more likely to achieve those goals versus nonprofits that don't. Some advice as you're thinking about different goals to set internally and externally for your campaign. Jen's going to go over some internal ones to measure your success. But as you're considering external, keeping the goals achievable, so smaller targets as far as monetary, they drive bigger individual gifts. Or if monetary is a new ask, focus on donors, number of donors for a campaign. Similarly, when you're thinking about donors and what they're feeling, donors give more when they believe their gift has a really real impact. So the story, which we'll get into here much more with Jen and Charlie, is very important in all of this. So when you're setting your goals, I'll send it back to Jen, but just remember how important they are on both sides of the fence, internal and external.
Absolutely. So because you're studying fundraising essentials with the Institute for Sustainable Philanthropy, we always want to say, yes, absolutely. Let's look at your giving numbers. But before we do any of that, let's look at ourselves. Let's look at our team. Let's look at our board. Let's look at our volunteers. Let's first set goals of how we can take care of these most important people first. And then we say, how can we take care of these really, really, really important people in an environment where active donor numbers are decreasing for the 5th year straight? It becomes more and more expensive to recruit new donors. Retention rate across the sector is declining. And at the same time, if people do stay with you, they become a lot more valuable in terms of the financial support that they can give you. So instead of thinking about our road ahead as a fight against the trend of declining cost living crisis and all of these things, step back and count the people we have first. The people who have chosen to give their lives in their careers to commit to your mission, have chose to volunteer their time and their voice for your mission. The people who have already given your money for your mission. And let's ask ourselves first and foremost, what can we do in the next 90 days to care for these people and to love them? Because I guarantee you, if you start your 90-day counts with the first one to take care of your own people, you will have so much clarity on how to attract new people for the next 90 days. Because guess what? You don't want to attract any odd new people. You want to attract the kind of new people who are exactly like your existing people. So the more you can get to know about who your existing people are, the more likely you will recruit the right new people. And guess what? The right new people are the people who care about actually your mission more than any other missions. So those right new people, they're easier for you to retain anyway. They fit into your sense of who your collective are anyway. So it's worth investing the time if you are thinking about even long-term growth to first get to know who your people already are and to try to think of ways to generate email, social media, and website messages to consistently sound like them, feel like them, and help them feel seen, known, heard, appreciated. Yes, there is scary trends, but hope is in the people we already have and in the people who are waiting to become part of who we are. The next slide, please, Jordan. And again, we can compare our own organizations to other organizations in Colorado Gives platform. So you can think about yourself, am I a new organization, a small organization, a medium-sized organization, or a large organization? Here you can see the trend of how many organizations they are within each category on the Colorado Gives platform. And so what you can see here is that the platform is gaining momentum in the state. The number of organizations at every size is growing every year. The downside of that is when everybody is growing, when everybody is crowding out the marketplace, the median number of donors per organization decreases. So comparing your own organization against the other organizations of your own size on Colorado Gives platform, what can you say about your organization to your donors that can help your organization stand out and can help your donors see who you are and to help your existing donors to feel they love you so much that they want to bring others who are just like them to your Colorado Gives campaign? You can use these numbers as your benchmarks, but fundamentally, the strategy you want to use is how can you write in such a way to help your people recognize your love for them. That's the focus. Next slide, please. And then the other thing that you want to think about is how many new donors and recurring donors or monthly donors you are recruiting every year. The way you think about your recurring donors, on one hand, you can take care of them because they are easier to retain, they give you higher lifetime values, you can have more money. Yes, that is one way to think about your monthly donors. But because you are learning about fundraising from the Institute for Sustainable Philanthropy, I would like to encourage you to think about your monthly donors in a slightly different way. I would like to encourage you to think about your monthly donors about those people who feel most passionate about what you do, who feel so determined that they want to help you in a way that is sustainable, who do not just want to ride the tide of giving to you once. They are the people who raise their hand at least twice and perhaps more than 3 times. So they are your champions in your community. They are the people who will see you through the thick and through the thin. Many organizations on the Kaleido Gives platform have only like a handful of monthly donors. So the potential to grow this pool for you is absolutely huge. Even if you double it, triple it every year, the growth potential is still absolutely huge. So it is worth investing some time to get to know the very small handful of donors you have and to ask yourself and these donors, what can you do in your communications to help them feel that you really see them and you appreciate them and you're in this together with them for the long haul. And that's the consideration between recruiting hash donors who often give you once, who are not nearly as valuable in terms of money, versus recruiting and retaining monthly donors. Next slide, Jordan. So when you then think about how to set your goal structure in terms of counting money, you want to count total number of donors, average gift, retention rate, everyday total, and you want to identify your gaps of where you lost your donors, where your donors are not retained, where they're not re-engaged. But fundamentally, like I said, you want to sit back away from these numbers for a moment and ask yourself, what is our mission focus this year? Who are the people who feel most passionate about our mission? Who are the people, if our mission succeeds this year, they will experience the most joy? Because for those people, even if they can't become your highest givers there this year, if you can manage to recruit them and to retain them for a monthly gift, even if it's $5 a month, the long-term relationship and the loyalty they provide for you in the community in time is going to way outweigh any investment you put in today to recruit a cash donor who you are never going to see again. So go back to those more fundamental mission, people-based questions, and then think about how you can focus this year. Because the more your focus is on the mission and the people, the more any effort you spend on them can permeate every aspect of your practice. So overall, you become a lot more effective and efficient in up the overall level of your fundraising. So if you're thinking about the rest of the year leading up to Kaleido Gives this year as 3 90-minute chunks, then I would definitely say for the first 90 days, you want to focus on working through those mission, people, overall case for support, story collection type strategy activities. And then you say, how can I measure the success of these long-term core differences that I'm going to invest in the next 3 months? So if that's the direction you are going, whatever you have in mind in what you want to do in the next 90 days, feel free to type them into the discussion forum once we open on Friday. Share your thoughts, ask any questions. If you're not sure whether it's worth your time to invest into something, ask them. We'll have a think with you. We'll think alongside of you. Next slide, please, Jordan. And so that's how you're going to answer your discussion forum question. You start by saying which one of these activities you want to invest in. What are the mission, people, case support, story collection based strategies that you want to invest, and then how you're going to do it. So these are going to be your discussion forum questions. And that is, go to the next slide, please, Jordan. That is the first objective, which is to think through what are those bigger picture strategic questions you want to address. And now my colleague Charlie is going to share with you how you can then identify a mix of campaign types for year-round giving. So those are the things that you can do, but don't jump into the doing until when you invest in spending time thinking about why you are doing what you are doing, which going back to the mission and the people and the case support problem questions. Over to you, Charlie.
Thanks, Jen. I think we'll go on to the next slide. Okay, so I'm going to get you to put lots of answers in the chat as we go. So I want to know how many people are just planning to do email and social for their Colorado Gives, and how many people maybe regularly send a letter once in a while reminding them about upcoming big days or those reports. How many people maybe make some calls, or just, I know everyone here is smaller organizations, generally with Colorado Gives or up and coming ones. So I know that there's a lot of just digital because it's the most accessible budget wise. Historically, we don't have done email. Oh my God, Maria, I'm so excited to share with you. Email, social calls, it's great. Lots and lots of digital, which is great because Colorado Gives optimizes that form. Trying not to contact those donors who have already given. Cuckoo bananas. They're the people that want to hear from you most. Mix, donors, members, calls. That's great. Oh, newsletters. Awesome. Thank you. So really, so the single channel reality, if they're not getting in multiple places, if they're not being reminded about how amazing your connection is and how you're fulfilling their need to get involved with something they really care about, you're not going to get as high of a response rate. So it's great to see lots of different channels happening. They struggle to break through, right? There's such a busy, everyone's receiving so much information. And you might be missing donors where they're most active. So it's great you're getting on social channels. Curious about which social channels you're on. If lots, I mean, everybody's on Facebook, but if you're anywhere else, love to know. But that multi-channel power, if you have 3 coordinated channels, and it looks like lots of you do, um, increases, you can see it drastically about that conversion. It's not so much about frequency, it's about cohesion. So really looking forward to Colorado Gives Day. What are you going to do to get on multiple channels? Send out maybe a postcard to people in your database by reminding them about Colorado Gives. You can include a QR code that goes to your donation page, but giving them that little extra boost that things are happening, just getting in their mind. Even if you don't get direct donations, you can look at your overall conversion rate, maybe send postcards to half the people, and then you can do a test and look back at those half people if they had a higher conversion. Almost 100% of the time they will. So that's really great. I see lots of people on LinkedIn. That's good. Don't make me go on TikTok. IG, as long as you're doing some reels on Instagram, we won't make you go on TikTok. So yeah, it's really, really important that we get onto those multi-channels. It sounds like most of you are. And those, if you have, oh, handwritten thank yous, Patty. Oh, extraordinary. I love that. So for the next campaign, before writing a single word of copy, map out those channels. So leading up to Colorado Gives, you're going to get so many powerful ways of doing that throughout here. So I'm excited to share all of those with you. Okay, next. So looking at the 4 A's of framework, I love this because it really helps you kind of look at everything in a really kind of just kind of structured way so that you know kind of what you're looking at. And it's so much easier to do a calendar when you're like, okay, I know how many of each of these to do. So acknowledge is building that relationship. And that's not just straight thank yous, right? That's highlighting people in the community, showing that there's, gratitude within the community, and showing people that you appreciate them for who they are, and just building that relationship and building why they're going to be involved, why it's important to be together in the mission. Ask is driving actions. Donation requests should be every other, if you're doing all of this, that's every other communication that you're doing. That seems a lot, but statistically, this is the amount of asks. You got to break through. Not everyone's going to read every single email ever. So you have to consistently put out those asks. So if you're doing 4 posts in a day or a week, depending, 2 of those should be asks. So it's not just donation asks. If you're asking people to sign a petition or to do an action, those count as asks. So if you're doing anything like that, generally we're just mostly doing donations for participants. So don't be afraid. This is accurate, I swear. Advocate. So when I say advocate, I mean specifically showing people why it's important that your organization exists. So this can mean showing in the community, how many people are using food banks, how many people use your service, how many people wish they could use a service like yours. There's all sorts of information out there, and stories about people that have been able to use that service that are really, really valuable. And then there's algorithm. So this kind of applies everything. So that's algorithm means also to optimize. So algorithm is in your Facebook. There's all sorts of really important things, like depending on how many people follow you, how many posts you should do, when you should do your posts. That's algorithm. For email, optimizing send times, optimizing who it's sending from. We're going to go into that. All those things, playing with how it's being controlled outside of your control. So looking into those things are going to help you, really help you a lot with how you do things. So pulling up your last 5 donor emails right now, label each one and ask, an acknowledge, or an advocate. Looking at what are your mix right now, seeing how those function. And I bet a lot of them are a mix, and there is some overlap, but generally try to keep your emails to one single thing. People have no attention span, so always trying to keep that one single ask. If you're doing newsletters, and those can be really overwhelming, and they're really, really important for things like theaters, and you have to say upcoming events, that's kind of generally one thing. But instead of doing newsletters with a ton of information, you're actually going to, if you do more frequency with singular things, that's actually more effective than putting everything together. Okay, so in your Ask content, direct calls to action, volunteer registration, event registration, those are what you want to look at. Those acknowledge content, gratitude, donor spotlights, volunteer recognition, community celebration. Proving the need through data is really great, but also making sure people understand in stories. So when you say, 1 in 3 people that use a food bank are kids, as pretty much the stat in North America. Looking at that, but then talking about a mom that gets to put food on the table that night, it's really, really challenging. So yeah, exactly. 1 in 3 kids like Mary. So making sure you're creating a story. Otherwise, it's really hard. It's difficult for some people to hold statistics, but that's not always the case. Some people, really like that. There's actually some male female demographics there that get into play. So you'll get to, but asking people, and we'll get into that about what they want to do. It's not a rigid rule. This is something that you always play with, and there is always something. Obviously, you're advocating when you're asking, right? There's that Venn diagram, and things are overlapping. So, making sure that you're looking at it, but making sure it's focused in one area. Great. Okay. So, in building your foundation, so in your email, SMS text, here's something we're not going to talk a ton about that. We're probably going to talk more about calling. But since we're looking a lot of you into digital, it's far less time consuming and a lot more accessible. It's really, really cheap to do that. If don't get caught up into big contracts or anything, there are ones that you can pay as you go. So it costs like just a couple $100 and super, super easy. But there are some really major rules specific to Colorado. So that's something to have in a long-term goal. But those calling, people are doing it. So that's really, really great to hear. So email, not ROI for every dollar you spend, and that can like look at staff time, how much you're spending on that time. Really, really huge return on email. Email, people think it's not working anymore. Email is still super effective. It's growing in ROI for the for-profit sector because of certain things they're doing that nonprofit isn't. It's declining in nonprofit. But after we do this, you'll see this courses, you're going to see that increase because people just aren't using all the tools. So here in the off months, you want to do kind of 2 to 3 emails a month, depending on how much and how much quality you have. It's really, really important to lean into quality over quantity, but getting those consistent messages out, short messages, and those can be, can increase that. Obviously, we increase that drastically during the end of year around Colorado Gives Day, but throughout the year, that's where you want to go. SMS, you get that super high open rate. When you're calling people, they'll pick up if you have like that regular phone number. It's really great. SMS, if it's something you have a goal for, starting now, getting those permissions, getting those opt-ins, it's really, really great. And then, yeah, getting those texts out, focusing on those big giving days. Social media, it's really, really crazy. Only 2% of average social media followers. As small organizations, you're going to see a lot more overlap, especially as you're starting up. And that completely changes if you're spending money and targeting new people on social media. But not a lot of social media people are actually donating. So it's important to keep that space up, but it's actually pushing into other channels. It's just creating a presence that's super important. And it makes you a lot more visible in search, especially AI search, which you're going to see a lot of AI summary when people Google, and being active on social media is really, really important. Don't think Colorado Gifts doesn't have a texting option, but I would love to know if people can put in what email platforms are you using? If people can pop that into the chat, because a lot of them have that option. So MailChimp has a texting option that's really cheap. And yeah, a lot of them, they'll have integrated texting. Yep.
Yeah.
A bunch of
We
those.
do at Colorado
Mm-hmm.
Gives in the
You
advanced
do?
features. Yeah. It's
Yay!
pretty
Oh,
basic,
good.
but it's a great introduction, to dip your toe in.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Perfect.
that's a really good point. I didn't really think about that like the MailChimps and Constant Contact also would have
Mhm.
that.
Yes. Okay. Advanced features. I love to hear it. It's great. Colorado Gives has that because it's going to give you more information on who's donating, and that you can integrate that. Sorry, I didn't know that already. I don't think we haven't talked about that yet. So exciting. But that's going to give you really good information on targeting. One of the things SMS is best at is actually re-engaging lapsed donors. So people that haven't donated in the last year, really amazing at reminding them like, hey, Color Gives, the matching gifts coming up. Super great for those people that haven't been giving, which seems kind of crazy, but those are great people. Terrible for people that you haven't been communicating with. So if it's the first thing they get, unless it's a like, thanks so much, great to have you, you want to avoid that. Thank you messages through SMS. People love those, and they're a lot more likely if you do a thank you and then an ask is really a lot value. Space those out. Remind them how much that you're doing, and you can include a link back to the site that has a story about how much impact they've had. So looking at your donor database, I can tell a lot by names of people about if they're older, like what generation they are, and that kind of strongest response for donors over 60. They still like to have that, having that mailer in so that they can mail back to you. Really great. And then for those younger people, having that QR code to Colorado Gives with that matching, really, really awesome. So creating that tangible, lasting impression. Of course, those postcards, if you need just a lower entry point, are really, really great. And I love to hear that there are, handwritten thank you notes, incredibly effective on keeping people retaining donors. So smaller nonprofits with a consistent email program outperform larger organizations, scattered multi-channel presence. So making sure, as long as you're really consistent, if you can afford to do those extra channels, super consistent, making sure you're in mailboxes, getting people engaged. Check your, which channels people actually engage with. So if people haven't opened an email in, 6 months, it's really important to check in with those people. Be like, hey, do you want email? Would you rather hear a different way from us? Is really great. And then trying those other ways because you don't want to email those people anymore if they're not opening, because that means you're less likely to get to the top of an email box in somebody that is opening your email. So we're kind of calling that the cleansing, the purging. So if you can get one email out to people before November, anybody that hasn't opened in the last 6 months, it's really good. So aim for that one email before Colorado Gives Day to make sure that your list is really clean and you're getting to everyone that wants to see you. Next slide. Ooh. Could you grab the next slide, or am I? Okay, sorry. I wasn't showing it for a second. So that consistent messaging, ensuring your landing page content matches your email. Super, super important. It creates trust and a higher conversion rate. So if you're changing the messages from your email, slightly take the text and take a minute to, text, if you're talking about Mary, from your email, great to be having that consistent messaging. It takes an extra 2 minutes to go in. It's super easy to change on your donation form to just update that text or swap out the image. It's the same image in your email to there. And if you can't do that, just making sure you're using really consistent branding. And then that mobile optimization. This is so, so important for everything on your website. Every time you update a page, every time you're sending an email test, first place you should open it is on your phone, because that's where most people are going to see it. If they're seeing where people go on social media when they're on their Facebook, they're on their phone scrolling. If they're going to stop and click through, they're going to see it on their phone. So the first place you want to look, I know it's really easy. Oh, everything's beautiful on my desktop, send it. Definitely send it and look at it from your phone. Super important. Those dedicated campaign pages, super obviously. Colorado Gives, and out throughout the year, that donation page, really having that consistent and tailored to those major actions. And that making it really, really clear, your call to action should really stand out. Donating, signing up, all of those things, really, really clear on the landing. So inconsistency between is usually the most common thing. So not updating your landing page, and that decreases your conversions. And it's all those little percentages that really add up. So that can be difficult. Every friction point is a small moment in broken trust, and you just want to do every little thing you can. Doing that 5-minute audit, send your own donation link to yourself, making sure you're testing. I like to use my husband. He is voluntold, as I say it, sending things as a second eyes, because we can get caught up in our own organization language. So if somebody that is not so much in that can have a really difficult time understanding. So making sure you're doing that second test. Okay, so if you're going to do a coordinated drop, so that week one, making sure that mail drops before you start getting in, because then they're expecting it, something tangible. Making sure you're starting to get into your social amplification in week 2, so that mail has dropped, and working up to that. So it doesn't mean you're stopping posting on social, but just really ramping up and seeing what's happening. Oh, hey, we sent emails, letters, people that haven't gotten those, you can sign up here. They have all sorts of great information, but really keeping those stories consistent still. Getting those emails out, that really strong digital push, and week 4 are kind of those final push. So all throughout, you're kind of doing all of it, but looking at how they're coordinated, and getting that consistent piece. So weeking 1, along with your other activities, getting that mail drop, really ramping up in your social, but seeing how they all kind of coordinate is really, really kind of ways to think about it in a holistic way. So coordinated campaigns feel like a movement, right? They feel really like people are seeing it in multiple places. When people see you in multiple places, they're more likely to convert. So map out your next campaign, looking at, okay, when are we sending that direct mail? Is it landing before they start getting the email? Can I time it so that I'm saying, 2 weeks after I send mail, am I sending a follow-up email like, hey, did you get the letter? Putting that as your subject line, people are like, oh, what letter? That's really, really effective and great way to engage. Right. So campaign types, what you're looking at throughout the year-round appeals. So you should be having something going constantly all year round, right? Something leading back to that donation form, that embedded donation form. It's not just December. You're really, really missing out if you're not asking throughout the year. Of course, Colorado Gives Day is one of your biggest days of the year. It's super, super important to map out how you're doing that. And of course, pushing through to the end of the year, that tax receipt season. And throughout those year-round appeals, you're definitely going into monthly recurring. We're seeing that the growth, 30% of online donations are coming through monthly giving now. So you may think it's a big ask, but it's not. Is it now 42% more annually if they're giving through monthly? So you're getting more donations. People are preferring those smaller donations throughout the year. If they gave 120 last year, ask them if they'll give $10 a month. You're going to get a longer life out of those people. They're more likely to stick with you 3-4 years instead of coming back with that single gift just a couple of times. So really, really important to get that ask out. 6 to 8 weeks of their first gift is a really good time to ask that. I know that seems really quick. It's not. You can stretch that out a bit, but that's a really optimal time. Let your most loyal donors fundraise for you, always asking them to share if you can get a little peer-to-peer page going. Maybe you have a major donor, asking them if you want them to set up a dedicated page for them that they can refer to. Say they don't want gifts, they want for their Christmas, you can set them up a dedicated page. You can do all sorts of embedded pages, right, with Colorado Gives. So you can have their picture, and really great. So those bigger givers, or anyone, really offering that service, and then they can share that page. Matching campaigns are the number one driver. If you can get those matching campaigns going, really great. Another great thing to focus around Colorado Gives, and really focus, and then seeing if you can get another matching gift in that period or any period. Stewardship campaigns, super important to keep those going. Excellent to plan around October, leading into strong stewardship in October, leading into that end of year. And then kind of year-round donors give more to Colorado Gives. So if they've given once before within the year, they're far more likely to give around Colorado Gives Day. So keeping that action going. Don't stop talking to your donors, making sure they're getting that. Donors, and especially like monthly donors, dedicated donors, often get upset when you don't tell them about a matching campaign. It's a complaint that regularly will come in if they saw it somewhere and didn't get a direct communication from you. So yeah, really important to keep that open. Keep things going. So here's a really good one, kind of looking at where you want to go, keeping these in your regular communications. So if you have those events, this is really good, but making sure that these are all going through your whole campaign. If you're looking at planning out this year, obviously everyone has like big days. Looking at those big days that are related to your organization might move these around. Back to school is really, really great time for anyone doing anything related to kids is really valuable. Family services. So there's different things in the year. Yes. Keep taking screenshots. Awesome, Jesse. It's really helpful. That lead up into Colorado Gives Day, starting to do those asks early, get in your Colorado Gives Day donation early this year. If getting into November, Colorado Gives Day and year end, you're going to see a huge spike in donations around this. Giving Tuesday. Is Giving Tuesday before or after Colorado Gives Day this year? Because it's either a really great warm up to Colorado Gives Day, or it's a really great kind of follow up to Colorado Gives Day, because it can change a bit. It's before? Great. What a great warm up. It's so good to kind of test some messaging in there. And obviously still going to your Colorado Gives embedded forms. So you're kind of using that same process. It's so great to get a warm up in what's working. And then you can really, really push what worked for Giving Tuesday into Colorado Gives. Giving Tuesday, for those, around the world, has now become the biggest giving day of the year. It outperformed December 31st for the first time ever last year. So it's really, really great. Always the first Tuesday, second Tuesday. Oh, good. Okay. As sometimes it moves around. So following Giving Tuesday, great. So awesome. It's a great warm up and it's going to push people there. So map a simple donor journey that builds connection. This is really important for a welcome series or leading up to those asks. So after somebody is looking at or has given to you during Colorado Gives Day, to make sure they'll come back again, or turning them into a monthly donor, making sure that your autoresponder is all set up for that personal thank you, making sure they know what that donation has hit the ground, it's starting to achieve, giving them that survey, making sure you're asking them what do you think the organization should be focused on, is a really, really good one. People love to give their opinion, and asking, what kind of stuff they want to hear about. Asking them to follow you on social media, your best channel, where you're most active, where you're being social, making sure you're answering anything on social is actually equally as important as posting, is making sure you're reacting and commenting back. Equally important, will increase your algorithm. So people ask, when's the most important time to post? When can you comment back? When are you being social? Super important. Getting that update letter or that handwritten note, those content preferences, if you're not seeing a lot of interaction, this is a really important one. So do they want those stories, for the heart, and depending on, you can ask this in different ways. Do you want to hear about the people or the thing that you are working on? Or do they want to hear a bit more about the stats and how things are increasing? And it could be a combination. Making sure you're getting in that monthly giving ask if you haven't worked it into some regular communication earlier. And then that month 3, just a big surprise thank you is really, really effective in keeping that retention and that ongoing engagement. So people that receive that post gift structured give again are 4 times more likely the rate to give again. So making sure that you're using your kind of automated email system, getting these people into this. It's going to be a bit different for people that are giving for the first time and people that have given before. So just looking at this, making sure those people that have given before are definitely getting those gratitude and those survey choices if they haven't already, super important. So looking at that first time donor, that welcome series is really, really great. And this should be the same sort of thing for people that just sign up on your website, so new people coming in. So really, really great. So what to do? Sending from a personal name, not info at. People are generally more likely, especially for newer orgs. This does come with a small caveat because of algorithms. If you've only been sending from info ad or one email to your organization, then it can perform a bit better because it's been whitelisted in email boxes. And that means it's quite likely. So this is a 50-50 test. You can do that really easy with most mail services. So good to do this testing before you're really leaning in, because InfoAt can, or, not specifically InfoAt, but whatever email address you've been sending from always, if that's been your only one, it could be better. But generally, you want to have a real person's name in that email that coordinates with the sender name. Subject line should use you, their name, you made this possible. You words are really, really strong. You, their name, all those things. Include at least one line that reflects who they are as in their identity. You'll learn more about that from Jen throughout here. Plain text. I know people want to make it really, really beautiful, like a newsletter, but plain text emails far outperform. They feel more personal, and people are used to that in the office. They're used personal to personal. That's people don't send big fancy, ads to each other. So important to get that personal feeling in there. Of course, always testing that as well. Moment after highest gift, or their gift is the highest attention moment. So this welcome series and that thank you email, really important, reflecting that identity. No ask obviously in your thank you. Thank yous are thank yous. So, if you're going to do a link, it could be back to the site about, what's happening in that week if they want to get more involved. Okay, let's go into the next. And of course, you'll get all of these or kind of key insights and next steps. Just want to make sure we get all the information to you. So 3-element structure, you're going to see one story, one image, one link. And that doesn't mean one link in the thing. You means like every time. So you always link your image, you always can link certain sentences, and you have that button, making sure that same link is in all of those so that you can be really consistent with that landing page. Why this works, like you kept the children safe tonight, 40% higher engagement using this kind of structure. Simplicity, the donor gave money, so you have to show them how that is actually taking effect, really something tangible. A little question. You have an automatic send for thank you emails right away after some donates. Yes. There should be in Colorado Gives, there is in the receipt /thank you. So the receipt should be very, very bottom. Thank you is at the top and really reflecting on how amazing they are. So super important. So this very basic structure really helps you write out those emails. It's so hard to get off the blank page, right?
And just to clarify with the receipt versus thank you, Colorado Gives automatically sends a receipt. You can customize it. So at the top, but it's not the thank you email. And I always like to stress that to folks. The thank you email is coming directly from you, the nonprofit.
Yes. The receipt should still, when you customize it though, make sure there's a strong thank you in that to try and make it less transactional, but making sure that piece is in there. But yes, the receipt making that receipt a little more like that. But yes, trying to get, as soon as you can get them in, getting that thank you direct as part of your series going. But yeah, it's so great to get that customization in. That 7 to 10, sending that small choice, which part of our work are you interested in most is kind of what you kind of want to think about, but making it about them, what they want, what they think you should focus on, because really getting their opinion, engaging them, so that this is the most important piece of data you can get in segmenting. People segment by age. It's really important to do, of course, like monthly versus people that don't donate, but knowing what they want to hear about is the best way to get a 20% lift on what part of your work. So this is really great if you have certain things that you're doing in your organization. Super huge, valuable piece of data to keep on their profiles, making sure you're saving that somewhere. If you can embed that in your email, often that's not the case. So you'll send a link to the survey, but if you can, some services have that. It's not always possible. So trying to create as little friction as possible. You usually have to send them to a landing page, but if you can embed, and then honor their choices, if they want to hear about those things in subsequent communications. And looking at why it works, autonomy. So making sure like people feel like their voice is being heard and that their decisions are important. It creates simple segments on where, what people want to hear about, statistics or these things. So these are the kind of where you're asking those things. Okay. So you want to do that soft social ask, inviting donors to your main social media page where you have the most community, where you're seeing the most engagement. In the PS, because of course some people may not have that channel, that's a good place to be like, oh, if you don't have that channel, here's a few other ones you can get involved on. If you have other ones, those are really great, but having that really primary one because you want to see that that's active there. Highlight recent supporter or quote that has been active, or a post. You can screenshot a post that did really, really well, and having that link back. It reinforces that sense of belonging. Social proof, social followers are more likely to give a second time, even though it's a small portion. But if you're growing that community, on both sides, then that's really great. So having belonging is one of the 3 core psychological needs of somebody, to have that sense of belonging and have their people. So that reminder, your kindness hasn't stopped working. Open with a brief thank you. Add one concrete detail. If you can't picture it in your head, it's not concrete. So when you write that out, if it's not something you can tangibly put in your head, like, your support matters. Can't think of that, but it's like, you are changing the life of X, or like these many meals went out, or these many seeds got planted. Really, really concrete, something I can picture in my mind, and then repeating their identity back to you. 3 weeks is the initial gratitude glow fades. That's been tested, so you really want to make sure that's in there. It's a pure maintenance of that positivity and the relationship, no action required from the donor. Keep it conversational, that plain text, so making sure you're kind of getting that really connection that's really close there. Day 30, the update letter. So this can be a digital email or printed letter, getting that out there. This is kind of the time that you're rolling them into your regular communications. So those will have asks in there, and making sure that's all coming in there. So this is the first time they've just given all of these things. So maybe they've given monthly already. So kind of in here is when we're really going to start thinking about monthly giving, getting that in there. Progress update in concrete terms, specific gratitude tied to that progress. So getting that update letter is a really great time. You can do a combination of a PDF attachment, but if that can be, if it's too big of one, it won't get through to the inbox. It'll be marked as spam if that attachment's too big. So even if you can get that as a landing page to have that all in there, that's really great. This is the Choose Your Path email. So here, if you haven't asked this, if you haven't found a better question to ask in that original survey, making sure that you're kind of getting that, what kind of content they want. If this kind of two paths approach, so you want to ask if they really want those stories, or if they are more interested in kind of those simple, kind of more impact statistics. So kind of all the stuff you put in those impact letters and those impact reports. Some people prefer those. Generally, kind of you always add in a bit of story in each, making sure you have that concrete visual and concrete mind. So you'll still like have those stories. People don't think they want things, but they want another thing, but making sure it features in their choice, and that autonomy really plays into this. And you definitely want to get those monthly asks going now. If you don't have, a huge amount of donors, this should be part of your automated series, or getting out those personal asks, making sure that they feel seen and that their gift was seen. And like if they want to make even more impact, we'll go into this more in the course about how you can frame this in super effective ways. But that kind of 6 to 8 weeks in this here, this is like kind of the top end of where you want to make sure you get that monthly ask in, is really great. So depending on how you're doing this, and each organization does it a little different, this is the top end. You want to get that monthly donor ask in, and maybe you've put it in depending on how they come in, if they've been a second donor, depending on how much flexibility you have in that welcome series and how you're segmenting, but definitely getting this in, wanting to get that donor ask. So it's really, really great to put that in. I'm on 3, surprise thank you. This is just plain text, super simple, extra, pure gratitude. These surprise thank yous really lift results. They people want to feel appreciated. This is just to say thank you. I hate the word just, but it's, in this case, can be really good. Like, this is a big thank you. This is the thank you about you and what you've done, and you're just so wonderful, making them see themselves as a great person, you seeing them as their aspirational self of who they really want to be as a person, who they want their friends to see them as a giving, kind person, is super important. And I'll also work on these in some various pieces. And then making sure you align your website and emails to Colorado Gives Day page, super, super important. So creating that consistent donor experience across all your channels, your website, donation form is embedded. Homepage reflects your current campaign. Kind of go over this a bit. So just kind of looking at that piece, making sure Colorado Gives Day page is up and like very branded and looking great, and preferably embedded because it goes straight to your site. That embeddable donation form, just mentioned it. It's unlimited donation forms hosted by Colorado Gives Day, placed directly on your website. So donors never have to leave your site. So that big donate button that you have on your website goes straight to that, doesn't go to like all the ways to give. Your big donate button should always go directly to this embedded page. Embed it now before Colorado Gives Day, so you're not in a panic. It's super easy. Get into your page, nonprofit dashboard, embed the donation form, and they'll have additional instructions in there that will be really helpful. So does Jen, I'm not sure where you want me to kind of roll into the next piece.
You
Keep going?
continue
Keep going?
on. Yeah.
Okay, keep going. Yeah. Sorry. Okay, celebrating you. Oh, there's Jen. Moral identity and fundraising. I think that was, yeah. Just want to kind of we have those other pages, but maybe switching over to you so we can get everything in.
Yeah, absolutely. So many of you asked many really good questions in the chat already. We like all these webinars. For all the questions in the chat, we will have a copy of all these chats that we can upload for you in the discussion forums. So if you haven't had a chance to read any answers that you post questions for, or you want to have a read of other people's questions, once you log into the Canvas platform, you can see all these exchanges. But what Charlie shared with you are all the strategies and actions you can actually take to build up your system to communicate with your donors. From a philanthropic psychology perspective, it is what you put into those emails that takes the most time and attention for you to think through. A lot of you said in the discussion, in the chat, that you send thank yous, and that's brilliant. And I already asked some of you, when you do send thank yous, how are you thanking people? Are you thanking people for the gift they make, for their donations, for their support, for their generosity? Or are you thanking them for their sense of being a kind and caring and compassionate person? They are both handwritten thank yous, but when you send thank yous to help people feel that you appreciate them as people and to help people feel that you see not just the money they give you, but also their kind and caring and compassionate nature, then it resonates slightly differently with them. And if you increase the proportion of emails that you send out to consistently tell them about the fact that you see them as people and you see all those special outstanding characteristics of them, then over time you build a deeper and more intimate relationship with them. So in the last few slides, I'll simply share with you a few examples generated from your peers last year in the Clardo Gives Level Up program. These are some of the final assignments that students submitted into their copywriting class, where you can see very good elements of addressing people's sense of who they are and connecting this to who the organization is, what the difference is that donors are helping the beneficiaries to make or help the people that they support. So let's just go a little detail into the subject line. For example, you can be the reason a mom gets to work safely. This is absolutely brilliant because you are helping the donors know that you see them. You are giving them a reason to be seen. And more importantly, you are connecting them to someone that they feel like they can care about. And in this case, when you say a mom gets to work safely, it's not only you're saying, oh, a working mom or a mom who need to work every day or to make money or whatever, you're actually painting them a picture that they can almost see who the mother is and what the mother's doing. And you're telling them in that picture that you're painting for them of the mother, what is the difference they are making, which is safety. Absolutely beautifully thought through subject line. And then you tell them when they can do this and how the mother will feel. And then the rest of the message, you can read when you have time, where I noted why they're beautiful. And they're all reinforcing, sorry, Jordan, can we just stay on that slide for? They're all reinforcing exactly the same point, which is about the donor is making the difference, the donor is making the difference, someone like you is making the difference, you are making a difference, you are showing up, you are here, and we thank you. The most beautiful thing for this email to help donors feel seen and cared for is also telling them that making a donation, this process can be easy. So it's not like you're asking people to do something so thoughtful and so kind, and you have to make it hard for them to do. The next slide is another example that is about early learning ventures, where, again, in the title itself, the subject line is saying tiny steps, bright future because of you. The value of what you would like your people to believe in and the value of what your organization's mission believes in, they're all painted into the subject line itself. And if we flip to the next example from Community Foundation, the same strand of strength exists, where in this case, you are the change maker every community needs. You are telling people that you see them, and it's not just the change that they make in the community that you care about, but it's them as change makers that you care about them. And you're thanking them not just because of the generosity they give, but you thank them for believing in the power of connection and for simply being a part of that community where generosity takes center stage. So if and when you have time, I would encourage you to just sit with these three messages a little bit and read through the commentaries that I put next to them, and then pull up a couple of your own communications and compare them side by side and ask yourself the question that I post in the chat box. When you're thanking people, are you thanking them for just what they do, or are you thanking them for who they are? And when you give credits to people, are you credit the difference to the organization, or are you credit people to the people? And more fundamentally, are you creating a stronger and more neatly connected community between the people who give and the people who receive money? Are you creating opportunities for them to inspire each other? So these are the opening thoughts that we share with you for the first webinar. If you go to the next slide, Jordan, if you're interested in dive a lot deeper into these thoughts, you can obviously participate in our copywriting class. But even for the next 4 monthly webinars, we wanted to give you a taster of how fundraising communications can help people feel, and to understand a little bit about why fundraising is not just a process of raising the money that people already want to give you, but actually to help you recharge your community and grow that human potential to love in your community. So thank you very much, and thank you for all the questions that you asked. I will stay on, and Charlie will stay on, and Jordan will stay on to answer all the questions you already posted in the chat box. But we'll be here for you in the discussion forums on Friday.